Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another video. So today we're going to be making some oven fried chicken and potato salad for your weeknight dinners because sometimes we honestly just need some comfort food that feeds the soul, that feeds the mind, and we want it on a weeknight. We don't want to have to wait till the weekend to go get some good stuff. And the oven fried chicken is honestly one of my favorite recipes because it's so much less messy than deep frying. Of course, the results aren't going to be the same as when you deep fry chicken, but it's still going to be pretty good. And basically in this recipe, we're just going to let the chicken marinate for a bit and then we're going to fry it. And I'm going to be showing you how to do it right now.
So what I have here is just a bunch of chicken thighs, about 6 chicken thighs, in a makeshift buttermilk mixture. I didn't have buttermilk at home, so what I did was take some milk, a cup of milk, and add some lemon juice to it to make it a bit more buttermilk-like, and then I added it to the chicken. I also kind of put in whatever spices that I wanted because it's really up to your discretion what you want to add. What I did add myself though is some tarragon, some thyme, some garlic powder, paprika, chili powder, and cumin. I made sure to go heavy on the garlic powder and chili powder and just a sprinkle of everything else. You could definitely go even more intense and add a lot more. Of course, salt and freshly cracked pepper. I'm basically just showing you those are the three that I use the most of: paprika, chili powder, and garlic, and the rest I did a little sprinkle. So you definitely want to add some freshly cracked black pepper and just let that marinate for while you prepare everything else. So when it comes to prepping the vegetables, you want to peel your potatoes, put them in some water so they don't brown, and then you want to cut up the pieces in like 2-inch pieces. It doesn't need to be anything too crazy or perfect. If you want to be super perfect about it, you can cut the little rounded edges off on the potato like I'm showing you and then do perfect little cubes, but it doesn't need to be amazing, like amazingly perfect. And also we're going to cut up the celery and the carrots into diced pieces. So when it comes to the vegetables, you can cut them up in any size that you prefer. I like them a little smaller just because I like that little crunch while I'm eating. I don't want big chunks, so this is the size that I went for. And I also put them in cold water so that they stay crunchy a bit longer and they'll be super fresh this way. So once you get the water boiling, you want to scoop in your cut pieces of potato. I put some sazon goya in my water, but I usually put chicken stock for that extra flavor. It's really good. And while the potatoes are going, you want to boil 3 eggs. I just put the eggs in cold water, let it come to a boil, and then I take it off the stove for about 10 to 12 minutes and then cut them up. So once 15 minutes are up, you want to take the potatoes out and rinse them in cold water. You don't want them to be too soft, and you also want to put them in your serving bowl and let it cool so that when you add the mayo and the sour cream in it, it won't just melt and drip into the potato. You want to add some butter to a pan and pop it into the preheated oven so the butter can melt before adding in your pieces of chicken. That's how we will have oven fried chicken. So this is going to be our two-step process. We have the mayo mixture and the breadcrumb mixture. So you're going to take the chicken, dip it in the mayo mixture, and you want to be really careful. This is Kewpie mayo and half-fat mayo. I like Kewpie mayo because of the eggy taste. In the breadcrumb mixture, what we basically have here is your panko breadcrumbs, which I'm going to show you in a sec. And they're really, really good for oven especially. And it's some Italian style breadcrumbs for that extra flavor, and our trusty potato starch, which will add to the crunchiness, especially that we're not going to be getting that extra crunchiness in the oven, so it's great. I also added in some spices. You can choose whatever you want. This is what I added, along with some salt and freshly cracked pepper. Now you want to get to dipping. So you definitely want to make sure the chicken has a good coating, but definitely dip off the excess so that the crust does not fall off of it, which is a common problem. Press it down really good to get a healthy crust on that chicken. So you see how I'm pressing really good against the chicken and around the chicken to make sure that it has a good coating because you want that coating to stick. So you want to put your prepared chicken pieces on the melted butter that we talked about earlier, and you're going to pop it in the oven for 35 minutes. So for this sauce, we have some 14% sour cream in here and some mayo, okay? We basically want to create a really creamy, flavorful sauce for the potatoes because potatoes tend to be very bland. So we have some sour cream going right in. Oh, so creamy. I can't wait for you guys to try this recipe for real. And you add as much as you like, but I added about a half cup of each. And then about a couple tablespoons of olive oil just to help with that sauciness. We're going to add some grainy Dijon mustard, my favorite. I love whole grain mustard. You can add however much. I put in a couple teaspoons. And of course, some ACV. Trusted ACV. I had to change my lighting because it was a bit off. But you want to add in about a teaspoon or two of apple cider vinegar. You don't need a lot, but I like the tang that it adds. It's a different kind of tang. Freshly cracked pepper. Honestly, ever since I started using freshly cracked pepper, I've never gone back. It makes such a huge difference. And some salt. Like ground pepper has no spice, just saying. And we're just going to give it a good mix. We're going to add in some dill that I cut up. That's just a personal touch that I like to add. It's very Ruski. My potato salad is very Russian, okay? But I love it that way. It's my favorite way. And that sauce is so good. You could even put it on some fish if you want. Amazing, creamy deliciousness. We are going to add in a couple more things, but you want to definitely make sure the sauce is mixed well, because once it's in the potatoes, no more mixing. Add some lemon juice. I felt like I added a lot of acid into the sauce, so I wanted to balance it out with some sweetness. So I added in a little bit of honey. Highly recommend. And just keep mixing until it's perfectly ready. Now it's mixing time, so you want to add in your celery and your carrots, and you guys want to be very careful to make sure that the potatoes are as cooled as possible. It doesn't need to be super cold, but just as much as possible. You want to add in some baby dill pickles. I added like 3 pickles, 3 to 5 pickles. Such a good taste in that salad. You have to try it that way. I also cut up the egg into chunks. Chunks big enough so you can still taste it, okay? Because the yolks will mix in with the sauce. And you want to add in all of that sauce that we made earlier. I know it may seem like a lot at first, but trust me, once you mix it in and let it set in the fridge for like an hour, it's going to just soak that goodness right up, okay? And what we want to do is gently fold this mixture with a spatula. I switched spoons because metal anything is going to be too rough for these potatoes, okay? That's also why you want to be careful when you boil them. And just mix it up really well before you pop it into the fridge. Ugh, how good does that look? I could eat a whole tub. And this is kind of what it's going to look like. Don't be scared of the creaminess, okay? Like I said, once it sets in the fridge, it's going to just soak that up. It's going to be so, so good. So once 35 minutes are up, you want to take the chicken pieces out and give them a flip so that the other side gets a healthy dose of that butter mixture and that skin fat. I switched to using my hands because it was a lot easier than the fork. You want to be gentle with it. And you want to pop this back in the oven for about 10 more minutes. So this is what the end result is, guys. Of course, I sprinkle some paprika because that's how I do. And this fried chicken, I promise you, it is so flavorful and crunchy and delicious. It may not look like the restaurant style fried chicken, but I assure you, when you are craving fried chicken on a weeknight, you're going to want to make this. And it cuts on the time so well. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think.